Hi Dixons, I'm Knighton, Senior Vice Principal at Dixons Academy Trust. This mini-series is about how we are working towards a 9-day fortnight for teachers. You can go back and watch Luke's video which explains why we're working on this project. The next few episodes talk about the how. In these episodes we do get technical and we do get into detail, and we know from conversations with our partners that people really want to see the messiness that is the process, not just the product, the behind the scenes that has enabled us to take steps towards this powerful new way of working for our teachers at Dixons. We aren't there yet, but we're confidently on the way. In this episode, we will walk through one approach. We will be sharing more approaches in the future. We did this exercise to prove 9 in 10 could work for us. But at Dixons, through our aligned autonomy model, it's down to each academy to solve this in the right way for them. Today, I'll work through the questions that we apply to any timetabling process and how we use them to establish baseline factors. Let's start with the core principle at the centre of all our work. Outcomes for children are paramount, and a well looked after workforce is pivotal for that to be achieved. To start planning and achieving a 9 in 10 work pattern, I had to open my mind to and accept a simple concept. Staff will not be in work every day. Simple enough as an idea, but it adds more parameters to our timetabling, and it actually makes one of our first decisions for us. It is not unusual for schools to run a 2-week timetable. It can offer a more efficient delivery of the curriculum and maximise staff output. With the 9 in 10 vision, the 10-day cycle means this is the first of our baseline rules. To succeed, we'll be working from a 2-week timetable. As always, before any timetable construction begins, key decisions have to be made, and this time we needed to consider all the additional restraints that a 9 in 10 pattern would add. There are 1,000 questions to answer, which will ultimately form our baseline rules. So let's endeavour to bring some structure and work through a stack of the relevant questions in broadly 3 categories. Firstly, red lines and ring fencing the off days. Secondly, curriculum. And thirdly, non-teaching commitments and daily structure. Firstly, what days could colleagues have off and what are the implications? There are 3 options. Staff are off on any of the 10 days, so 10% of colleagues off each day. Staff are off on Mondays and Fridays, so 25% of colleagues off on each of these days. And thirdly, staff off on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 16.7% of colleagues off on each day 2 and 5. To make this feel real, let's picture a school with 55 teaching staff. 10% means 5 to 6 not in. 25% means 14 not in. And 16.7% means 9 not in. How can we structure this time off between staff or staff groups? For example, will staff groups be off by faculty or will staff be off individually? What are the implications for this in your school staffing model? Are there red lines or no-go areas that your school or your principal or your trust simply cannot and will not accept? How are we maintaining moments when all colleagues are in school at the same time? Secondly, curriculum. Can the curriculum plan remain exactly the same? Or will there be slight or significant change needed with a reduction in staff availability? What will be the impact on setting, blocking, the number of groups, group sizes, and how many lessons will be taught over 2 weeks? Are there any opportunities or limiting factors in considering the length of the lessons, the school day and the school week? Which structures can remain the same and which will need small or big adjustments? Thirdly, non-teaching commitments and staff time. How will we manage the allocation of staff time? Will all the PPAs create the day off, or will the number of PPAs remain the same in addition to the day off? How will non-teaching expectations fit into a 9-day week? For example, PD, faculty meetings, coaching, line management, mentoring, parents' evening, duties, as well as data days and planning days, which are central to the Dixons model. We are committed across our trust to staff having 2 occasional days per year. How will these impact on any given day within the proposed model? We then need to triangulate these factors with the broader context of the school as it is today. How much change is your school willing and able to make right now? What else is happening in your school or your trust which may impact on how these changes roll out or are received? Are you writing a timetable for a start-up school, a turnaround school or an established school? Is the school in year 1 or year 5? What implications does this have thinking about our culture, for example? What is possible or acceptable in one school may be very different to another. When we ask and ultimately answer these questions, we must always go back to the basics to sense check as the timetable starts to take shape. Our sense check questions for any model we come up with are: what will the impact be on the student experience? What will the impact be on the staff experience? Does the school have sufficient staff to run a smooth, safe day on each day of the 2 weeks? Are there enough physical spaces, classrooms, big teach areas for the proposed timetable to run effectively? Will there still be curriculum balance across the 2 weeks? For example, rather than one lesson of geography every week in Year 7, there might be 2 lessons, maybe even on the same day in 1 week, but none in the next. Will there be sufficient SLT, pastoral and SEN support on each day? Does the model have any weak points when it comes to issues like unexpected staff absence, and how can these be solved? What is our change management plan around this plan? For some of these questions, there are clear, limited solutions. For others, the options lie on more of a sliding scale. It may seem like there is a fluid process in making these decisions, but in reality, decisions change whilst creating the timetable as problems arise, some solvable and others not. And when not, then as always, it's back to the baselines and start again. This is not different to the normal construction of a timetable. There are just more constraints and therefore more decisions or solutions to be made or found. In conclusion, there are 1,000 questions and the process isn't linear as with all timetabling. What is possible or acceptable in one school may be very different to another, and student staff experience must be the sense check factors in working up your baselines. The next episode will look at how these questions are answered and how the timetable construction began. Thanks for watching, and please do subscribe to our platform at www.dixonsos.com. We'd love your feedback, so please like and comment below.